The Constitutional Court has upheld an appeal to set aside a High Court decision to switch off South Africa's analog signal. It relates to the long-delayed digital migration plan, which was meant to come into effect at the end of last month. We're joined by Media Monitoring Africa's William Bird for more on this story. William, fundamentally, what the Constitutional Court did here is uphold the rights of especially the most poor and vulnerable in our society and their right to be able to access free-to-air television.
Yes, indeed. So what was not contested in court is that 36% of our population rely exclusively on analog television to get access to television. And with what the minister had effectively done was by saying that they were going to have the switch off first in March and then at the end of June, she was saying that only those people who had registered and had their set-top boxes installed were then going to not be subjected to switch off. So you would have seen several million homes and several million people effectively facing an interminable TV blackout. And the court said that actually she had acted both irrationally and unlawfully in making this decision. She had failed to consult with people. There was no evidence that they had a proper plan in place. And it was a really scathing ruling against the minister.
It seems that it's back to the drawing board, but the one thing that comes out clear, William, is that I don't think any of the parties are suggesting that they shouldn't be the big switch off and that they shouldn't be the move to digital.
No, and in fact, everyone is in agreement that this needs to happen, and sooner than later. You know, it's not our fault as civil society, as an example, that government has dragged its heels on this. We've had something like 13 ministers of communication in 10 years. You can't have policy continuity when you have that kind of craziness occurring within government. You know, so it's about the fact that there's not been a deliberate attempt at doing it. But it also equally is massively unhelpful when you then say, okay, we're going to just switch it off without consulting the people. You know, community television weren't consulted. The SABC weren't consulted on this. ETV weren't consulted on this. So your key stakeholders weren't consulted, let alone civil society and other public bodies. So it really was a significant error by the minister. I know today she had a press conference where she's announced that the new and final date for switch off, or not for switch off, for final registrations is going to be the end of September this year. So she's already gone ahead and announced a new date for closing of registrations, which I think is unfortunate because, again, they need to be consulting with all of the key stakeholders about these things so that we can come together and find a solution. So, her response today was a, really unfortunate response to what I think was an opportunity to reset relations and hopefully set us on a path where we can all work together.
Do you think there is a reluctance to have all parties within the broadcasting sector work together here?
Well, the minister at no point has indicated that this is something that is an opportunity to reset. After the first ruling by the High Court, that wasn't an indication. And certainly today she devoted precisely one line of her press statements to saying that she would be consulting with the affected stakeholders. No timeline given, no ways to how that will occur. So, it's anyone's guess really. What we're hoping is that we can actually come together, work out some clever plans, because there are some difficult questions, like the fact that there aren't enough chipsets in the country. How are we going to overcome that? So even if you close registrations by the 20th, by the end of September, and you've then got millions, what does that mean for how we move ahead? So it's just really difficult to find that when we're not being able to engage sufficiently. But we're hoping that we can.
Do you foresee a situation where there could well be further court action to explicitly compel the minister to engage on parties, despite the fact that the Constitutional Court has said as much?
Well, look, South Africa is a crazy place. Anything's possible. So, you don't want to rule out something as deeply and profoundly as fortunate as that eventuality. But, we have to hope that the parties can set aside their differences and come together and try and work on a solution that works in everyone's interests. And that needs to be led by the front, by the minister.
All right, William Bird, let's leave it there for tonight.